My brothers and sisters, I want to welcome you to this meeting.
Welcome to another episode of African Europe Insight by the Sunny Ofehe Show. In this episode, we look at the daily life and work of a Nigerian ambassador, with specific focus on a day with the Nigerian ambassador to Italy, His Excellency Ambassador Eric Tonye Awarabi. Happy viewing. Viewers, welcome to the residence of the Nigerian ambassador. We're right here at the residence of the Nigerian ambassador to the Republic of Italy here in Rome. It's exactly 8:30 in the morning, so we're here to follow how he gets prepared in the morning to start his daily routine at the embassy, which is actually a different location from here. An ambassador is an official high-ranking diplomat who represents a state or country and is usually accredited to another sovereign state or to an international organization as the resident representative of their own government or sovereign, or appointed for a special and often temporary diplomatic assignment. In its most common use, the term usually applies to the ranking government representative stationed in a foreign capital. The host country typically allows the ambassador control of specific territory called an embassy, whose territory, staff, and vehicles are generally afforded diplomatic immunity in the host country. Embassy refers to the building or compound housing an ambassador's office and staff. The main embassy building in which they work may be known as a chancery. Ambassadors can reside within or outside of the embassy. In the case of Nigeria, the ambassadors usually reside outside the embassies.
Morning, is this sleeping?
So, Excellency, thank you for having us at your official residence here in Rome. I just want to ask you to tell us how you prepare for your day's work.
The first thing we do is to pray to God early in the morning and put the day in His hands to guide us. And then sometimes I pick up a notebook and jot down those things that I think I ought to do, must do issues, and of course a spillover from the previous day's work to see what has not been done or what has not been properly done. Once I do that, all the other issues are incidentals.
So, like, what time do you leave the residence averagely to the office?
9 o'clock
in the morning. Ambassadors residing outside of the embassy retain special protection from the host country's security forces, and the ambassadorial residencies enjoy the same rights as missions. Like embassies, such residencies are considered inviolable and extraterritorial. The residencies of high commissioners, who are similar to ambassadors, have the same rights. The equivalent of an ambassador exchange among members of the Commonwealth of Nations are known as high commissioners. Nigeria sends ambassadors to countries within the Commonwealth countries, and they are usually referred to as high commissioners. An ambassador represents one head of state to another, and an ambassador's letter of credence are addressed to one head of state to another. Since 1945, all nations have been recognized as equals, and ambassadors or their equivalents are sent to all countries with which diplomatic relations are maintained. Before the development of communications, ambassadors were entrusted with extensive powers. They have since been reduced to spokespeople of their foreign offices. Can you tell us what is really the function of an ambassador in a country? I mean, the role of an ambassador of a country in the country of its designation.
Uniquely here, for instance, if Nigerians have a problem and they cannot reach out to Mr. President, it is to the ambassador they reach out to. And then with the Italian authorities, you're also like either a post office, in which case they can send messages through you, and Nigeria can also send messages through me to the Italian authorities. There are other bilateral issues that arise where the interests of the country are taken into account.
In case of dispute, it is common for a country to recall its head of mission as a sign of its displeasure. This is less drastic than cutting diplomatic relations completely, and the mission will still continue operating more or less normally, but it will now be headed by a charge d'affaires. Usually the deputy chief of mission, who may have limited powers. A charge d'affaires also heads the mission during the interim between the end of one chief of mission's term and the beginning of another. Nigeria has almost 100 embassies and high commissions scattered over Africa, Europe, Asia, South and North America. The Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations was ratified in Vienna on 18th April 1961, and all diplomatic missions enjoy the benefits enshrined in the Convention of 1961. So finally, on this very note, whenever dignitaries, high-profile Nigerian people within the government, politicians, they visit, you've been hosting many of them. What's the procedure? How do government officials, notify the embassy of their presence, and what is expected of the embassy during their visit?
Normally, they inform the Ministry of Foreign Affairs back home, who now will send a telegram to us stating their flight schedules and asking us normally to give them courtesies, standard courtesies for them. So, depending on the profile of the visitor, some persons or somebody will be at the airport to receive them, and they are taken to their hotel accommodation. And usually we now look at this program and extend an invitation to be given either a dinner or a luncheon in the residence. Of course, it's not figured alone. Members of the embassy should be there, where we can exchange all kinds of ideas. We want to know what is happening back home. Sometimes they want to give us advice on how we can run the place better. And usually we take the opportunity also to show them the areas we think that government can add more value to what we do. So that is how it is done here. When guests arrive, we receive them at the door and lead them on to this place. So it is in this hall, what we call a ceremonial hall, that they are formally received.
Oh, this is really nice.
The reception could take the form of introducing the guests and members of the embassy, and in fact, members of his own delegation. And thereafter, if there is a dinner or a luncheon, we can then move here to where we are coming from.
When was this building acquired?
It was in the early 60s.
And bought
from an Italian comedian, a very popular one called Tutu.
Okay. You must have been very wealthy. I mean, this is massive. And this is like an exclusive area of Rome.
Oh, yes.
Because when I was coming, I saw a lot of beautiful houses.
You're right.
Understand that Nigeria has 2 embassies in Rome. Can you explain? In one country?
That is true. The embassies of Rome to the Vatican is here.
Okay. So Vatican is like a country of its own?
It's a country of its own. Then Italy itself, I am the ambassador of Nigeria to Italy. In the Italian Republic.
Okay. So the president recently visited and we understood that he went to the Vatican. So that was out of your jurisdiction.
He did not visit me. He visited the Pope, but because it's within our territory, we have to show our face.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, all the procedures were handled by the Nigerian ambassador to the Vatican City.
You're right.
Okay. How far is it from the residence to
the embassy? 20 minutes.
It's also close. There's proximity. Okay. And you and the family are you're enjoying the place at least.
It's quite good.
What can you say about the Italian people?
The Italian people are interesting. I'm in love with them. I love them. And I'm sure they love me too.
Yeah. And some of the Nigerians within the Italian communities that I've spoken to have said that Italy is just too big to have one embassy and one consulate office because, of course, if they want to renew their passport, they want to do anything, ask for visa, they'll have to travel from all the corners of Italy to get to Rome. And so now they are agitating for at least a consular office somewhere else in Italy. What is your opinion about that?
Yeah, during my last tour, that was one thing that resonated wherever I went. And we see with them. Incidentally, it's not a new request. It has been in the book for a long time. And we are lending our weight to this request. And in fact, we are thinking that two will do, one in the north and one in the south.
Okay, to complement the work of the embassy and also to help the people to get access to consular activity.
Yeah, that's correct.
How's the family life? Is Her Excellency here with you and the children?
Yeah, from the beginning, from the word go, I knew that I would need my family to help me. Otherwise, it would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Your mind is here and your mind is back home. You won't be, concentrated in your work. So they have been with me here from the word go.
Okay. Thank you very much for taking us through this tour. So we'll just go to the office and be with you for a few minutes and see how it goes with the office, and I think we're done with it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So this is usually the routine. I mean, when you leave the residence to the office in the morning.
Yeah, I don't go by helicopter, I go by car.
So we're in the car now, driving from the residence straight to the embassy. We're now in Rome. It's a lovely weather, and we're happy to be in the company of His Excellency. How do you cope with the winter weather? I mean, at least the first year you came in, the first winter in the country, how did you manage?
It was tough, but we survived it. And I think we are doing much better this year.
Yeah.
We did much better this year, including my wife.
Yeah, acclimatizing.
Yes.
So because, I mean, getting used to wearing our traditional outfits and then having to now use jackets to cover it sometimes can be a serious work.
It was burdensome.
Yes, I know.
But it was a necessity.
Yeah.
You couldn't do
without that. I mean, it's summer period now. Everybody's on holiday, so the roads are obviously clear. Are there times where, I mean, the traffic situation is terrible?
Yes. Normally the traffic situation in Rome is terrible. It's not as bad as Lagos or Port Harcourt, where I come from, or even Abuja. During this period, you find that everybody is at the beach, more or less, so the roads are clear. You can enjoy it.
Right now we're at the office of His Excellency, the Nigerian Ambassador to Italy here in Rome, His Excellency Ambassador Eric Tonye Awurabi. Your Excellency, can you take us through the structure of the embassy in terms of portfolios? I mean, diplomatic officials?
Okay, here we have officers that deal with specific issues. For instance, we have a consular section. It's headed by an officer, and that takes care of consular issues, visas, immigration. And you have a political and economic unit that is also headed by another officer. And then there are other offices that deal with specific issues. Well, basically, it's an embassy with a lot of portfolios, all reporting to the head of mission,
Which is the ambassador. Before an ambassador is designated to a country, the ambassador's details will have to be sent to that country first. And the country where the ambassador is expected to go and serve on behalf of Nigeria must first scrutinize the ambassador. It is only when they think that it is right and they sanction the nomination of that ambassador, that is the only time the ambassador can come to the country. You spent most of your years as a civil servant. Can you briefly take us through your journey in the civil service before you became an ambassador?
Oh, that's very interesting. I started my civil service career as an administrator with grade 7 in 1976. I was employed by the Rivers State Civil Service Commission. And I rode from ministry to ministry. In 1978, I was sent abroad to specialize in health service administration. Came back in Britain, University of Aston in Britain. And I came back, joined the service again, and then in 1981, I was actually made the secretary to the River State Health Management Board. I held that position for 2 years until that board, along with other boards, were dissolved. So I went back to the core civil service, and then I was sent to the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital in 1985. I retired there as the Director of Administration in 2006. Well, in my retirement, I was also offered the position of the Director of Administration in Bayelsa State because they were now setting up a new university teaching hospital. I worked there for 28 months and I left. It was not long after that, in 2012, that I was appointed an ambassador.
How did the appointment come? I mean, what was there any procedure you went through? Can you just take us through how the information came and how you did your screening process in the House of National Assembly? Because I suppose you go to the National Assembly and then eventually became a confirmed ambassador designate to this country.
Thank you. I must tell you that I was taken unawares about this appointment because I got a call telling me that I've been so appointed. And I was asked to proceed to Abuja. I went through a lot of screening exercises, including the SSS, the police, and finally we were brought before a Senate committee on this issue. And it was a very, very interesting exercise because we are really screened. I'm happy to say that at the end of the day we are confirmed. I find myself in a room as the ambassador representing Mr. President.
So we've had cases also in Nigeria where the Nigerian government, through the president, nominates a candidate to go to a specific country as his representative in that country. But after scrutinizing the details of that nominated candidate, the country can also reserve the right to say, well, we don't want this candidate to come to our country. It is all part of the Vienna Convention of 1961, in which the country where the ambassador has to be sent to must also agree to accept the candidate that is being sent to their country. It's not only the ambassador that goes through that procedure. Other members of the diplomatic corps has to go through that same procedure. So even when you are sent to those countries, it is still not enough for you to say, well, because I am sent to this country and I have every diplomatic immunity to operate the way I like, so I can do everything that I want to do. Now, you know, when you are sent to that country, despite your diplomatic immunity covering and protecting you, you still need to stay within the laws of that country that you have been sent to. There are also cases where the country itself, where in this case Nigeria, can also choose to recall its ambassador back to Nigeria. And in most cases, those situations happen when there are political differences between the both countries. You know, like during the killing of Ken Saro-Wiwa, I remember vividly that the then Minister of Foreign Affairs was expelled from a Commonwealth summit because the Commonwealth of Nations were not happy with Nigeria as a country during the reign of the military president, late General Sunny Ofehe over the killing of Ken Saro-Wiwa. So they felt it was, you know, it was a breach of international law, and that because of that they didn't want to engage in diplomatic relations with Nigeria at that time. So in that situation, the Minister of Foreign Affairs was expelled. So we've also seen cases where the ambassador, you know, can be expelled also because the host country is not happy with some of the political decisions or some of the political actions of the country that have sent the ambassador to those countries.
Abitualmente, quotidianamente è frequentata da prostitute nigeriane. Premesso che sul territorio la criminalità organizzata locale prende pizzo, si fa pagare da tutte le attività illegali. Ecco, vedi? Ce n'è una lì. Sono poche però, Sono giovanissime anche, guarda. Living in the streets of Italy, full of different strokes for different forms.
I don't know what to say, but some of the girls come here willingly. They know what they are coming for.
They will come out. They will come out. Bros, have fun now. Stop now. This one for straight.
Maybe some don't. What I would advise any girl aspiring to come to Italy from Nigeria for prostitution to read some of the books that Nigerians have written about this business in Italy. And it will be advisable and instructive for them to also get in touch with those who are already in the business and find out whether it is worth it.
Many of the thousands of Nigerian women who work in the sex trade here have been trafficked illegally, often deceived by promises of regular jobs. Isoka Akpitanyi is a former prostitute who now raises awareness about the problem.
In Italia oggi nel 2011 si porta i dati che sono almeno 10.000 mamma in Italia che gestiscono almeno 2-3 ragazze all'anno. Dicono sempre non riporta come la fa, è importante che arrivi.
Once a trafficked girl reaches Europe, she has to pay off debts to her madam of between 30,000 and 60,000 euros. It will take her at least 5 years. Two of the girls working the streets agreed to speak to us on condition of anonymity.
I promise to pay, so I can't run away. I have to finish it.
Madams confiscate the girls' passports to stop them escaping and charge them for rent, clothes and food. Threatened with violence if they don't comply, the girls also have to run risks with their clients.
Some will be bad people, they will beat you up. Some will bring out a gun, some will bring out a knife. It's risky.
Although prostitution is not against the law in Italy, some of the girls are here illegally without papers. The police stop one to check her status.
Papir. Non c'è niente. Hai paura?
The girl has no documents and will be referred to the immigration authorities for deportation. But she's the exception rather than the rule. For most of the women involved in prostitution here, there's little chance of a return home. In debt and in fear, their future is dictated by organized crime for years to come.
It's not a matter of making money, it's a matter of having your dignity and a matter of being sure that you are safe in a particular business that you're doing.
West African illegal immigrants have been coming to this part of Italy since the 1980s, lured by dreams of a brighter future. Nigerian criminals spotted an opportunity early on, getting migrants to pay their passage by turning them into prostitutes and drug mules. In the past, that's led to violent turf wars with the local mafia.
A lot has to be done at home. We need to educate our people back home. It's better for you to sell in the streets of Lagos something that people can buy. It's better for you to have a hair making salon. It's better for you to have a sewing shop and to find yourself in a cool country. I don't know anybody in a trade that you can say is full of danger.
I've met a lot of people who tell me, oh, do you know the Nigerian ambassador to Italy? Do you know the Nigerian ambassador to the Netherlands? And they say, well, yeah, I don't like the ambassador because the ambassador actually signed the laissez-passer, which is called the travel certificate, TC, that took my brother or my cousin, my nephew, back to Nigeria. But unknowing to most of those people, it is not the duty of the ambassador in the signing of a travel certificate that actually deports Nigerians who, for some reasons, have to be returned from the host country back to Nigeria. So sometimes we miss the duties of an ambassador to mean that they are actually in charge of everything. But though he heads the mission, so he supervises everything that happens in the mission. But when it comes to the deportation of Nigerians back to Nigeria, it is actually the duty of the consular officer, because within the embassy there's a consular office, and that office is saddled with the responsibility of issuing passports to Nigerians, also issuing visas to people who want to visit Nigeria, and also signs the travel certificates that enables the host country to return Nigerians who they think are not having the necessary documentation to return to that, to live in that country, to return back to Nigeria. Excellency, thank you for having us. We've had a wonderful time with you, and hopefully we believe that our viewers will be able to learn one or two things from your position as an ambassador, and that will also educate them to understand the role of any ambassador representing Nigeria in any country. And most especially, may God continue to guide and protect you and your family, and for you will live long for us. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And viewers, this is where we bring to an end this wonderful episode on the Nigerian ambassador to the Republic of Italy, His Excellency Ambassador Eric Tonye Awarabi from Bayelsa State. For extra scenes from this interview, visit our website www.sunnyofeheshow.com. For inquiries and sponsorship, see our contact details on your screen. Thank you once again, and God bless you all. See you next week.